Hey y'all, so on yesterday I posted a post from one of the people from our crew telling us how they have been having a difficult time. I posted here how they've been having a difficult time with being bullied and teased and having the word albino thrown at them in a negative way, and just they were reaching out for help. They wanted help. They wanted advice on how to navigate through the situation. And reading that last night was just like the tip of the iceberg for me, because I had been already receiving so many messages and reading comments of people just talking about how hard it is living yourself with albinism and just the overall experience of being bullied and teased. And it really broke my heart, and it just caused me to really go back in time to revisit myself as a teenager being in that same space. Because if you've been with No Melanin for any amount of time, then you already know my story. But if you're new here, then I'll just briefly go over it and say that my teen years was a big struggle for me. I suffered greatly with low self-esteem. When I tell you that I hated myself, and I wanted to do everything within my power to change who I was as far as being an albino or person with albinism was concerned. I tried desperately to tan my skin. I wanted my skin to be darker. I did everything that I could to just profess how much I hated my hair color. I hated having blonde hair. I didn't like it. I hated my white blonde eyelashes. I hated my golden eyebrows. I hated everything about myself. And I felt like God had cheated me because he made me this way. I saw someone talking about crying about just the overall experience, and I remember crying as well, literally praying and asking God to change me so that people would stop talking about me, so that people would stop bullying me, so they would stop demeaning me and mistreating me because I was an albino, a person with albinism. And I say all that to say I know the feeling, because I've been there. I've walked that walk. I know what it feels like to not like who you are. I know what it feels like to not like the person that you see in the mirror. I know what that's like. And that is why I am so grateful that God gave me this opportunity to advocate. Because if you had told me years ago when I was a teenager, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, 13, 12 years old, if you would have told me then that I would be doing this, I would have literally not believed you, because there was no way possible you were going to tell me that I would be advocating for the very thing that I hated. It's no way possible. That's why I always tell people that this is God-made. It's not self-made, because had I had my way, had I remained in the sunken place that I was in, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't. So it's all because of Jesus that I'm here. It's all because of my faith in him that sustained me, that helped me when God literally had to, oh my God, he had to make me over. He had to renew my mind. He had to do all of that. He had to undo everything that had happened to me. The looks, the stares, the comments, the laughs, the snarls, I had people who would talk about me to my face. I had people who I knew would say things about me, people who would say unkind words, unkind comments, family, non-family. I had it. So I know what this thing is like. I know what it's like. I know what it's like. And that is why I am dedicated to making sure that this stuff stops. And more importantly, that you understand who you are. Because when God took me through that point of renewal, one of the major things that I learned is that what people were telling me, what they were saying, they were lies. Just because you have a visual impairment, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to be a success in life. Just because our skin is this color or it doesn't have any melanin, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have a chance at doing anything in life. Just because of the handicaps or the disabilities, just because we may have those things, that doesn't mean that there's setbacks or disadvantages. That's a man-made way of thinking when man can't comprehend God's ways. When man can't comprehend God's thoughts, our immediate response is to tear it down and to say, well, you'll never be this, you'll never be that, instead of just saying, this is a part of God's plan, and it's the way that it is, and I'm just not going to touch it. I'm not going to speak negatively on it. I'm just going to watch God unfold it. But that's not our response, because we feel like we have to know everything and all of that. So therefore, if we see something that we don't understand, even if it's not albinism, we have this knack of just putting our mouths on things when we shouldn't be saying anything at all, especially when we don't know what we're talking about. But we don't always choose that response. So it in turn causes people who aren't born the normal way to feel as though we're nothing, and to feel as though we're horrible, we're nasty, we're grimy. You have people who don't even want to touch those of us who have albinism, because they feel like we are something that's lower than trash, lower than scum. So it hits differently when you walk in our shoes, and a lot of people, don't understand it, but it's difficult and it's hard. And so when I read these comments, when I receive messages like this, I have no choice but to respond. I have no choice but to give my testimony. I have no choice but to offer hope and encouragement, because as someone said to me a minute ago, they were like, man, I wish I had this when I was growing up as a kid with albinism. And I said, man, me too, because we didn't have this growing up. But now, those of us who didn't have this growing up, this thing right here, we're able to now do it through our advocacy for this next generation. And then this next generation will build off of that. And it's all because of God's awesome plan that this is even taking place and happening. So please know that you are beautiful, you're loved, and that after God created everything that he was going to create, his word declares in Genesis 1:30 that you and I, me and you, we were good. So regardless to what anyone else has to say about it, we're good, because we were born this way on purpose, for a purpose. I don't just say that to say it. I say it because it's facts. We were born this way on purpose, for a purpose, and I don't care about what anybody else has to say, what they do. It's just what it is. And that necessarily doesn't make, I'll say this, that doesn't necessarily make the comments or the stares stop. It doesn't make people think differently, because people, if they're going to think a certain way, they're going to think a certain way. But that's why that's not the goal of my advocacy. My goal is not to try to force my truth and my preaching down someone else's throat. My goal is for those of us who have this condition to walk in the light that God has called us to walk in, by understanding that we are here for a purpose, on purpose. And regardless to what anyone else says or does, we don't have to rule or govern ourselves by that, because when we know who we are and whose we are, we walk differently. To this day, I still have people who would like to try it. I still have people who try to say ignorant things about albinism. And you know what? It does nothing for me. I ignore them. I let them go their way, because that doesn't bother me. It bothered me then, but it doesn't bother me now. It doesn't bother me. I don't care. If that's your opinion, if that's what you want to think that. But just know that I don't have to surround myself around it, first of all. And then secondly, I'm not going to subscribe to what you're saying. You're not going to force your negative energy or thought processes on me. You're not going to do that. I'm not going to accept it. I refuse it. And it is what it is. And I want you to be the same way. It's a process. Oh my gosh, I'm 30 years old. This thing has been 12 years in the making. And even within the 12 years, it was still a process to unlearn all of that unhealthy thinking that I had been just subjecting myself through as a teenager. It took a minute. That's why I say I'm God made. God made me like this. God did this. My mom and daddy gave me my face in this, but God did all the rest. You know what I mean? He did all the rest. This smile, this confidence, this happiness that you see, it's because God. It's because of them tears that I cried at night. It's because, oh my gosh, it's because, man, it's because of Jesus that I'm here. And I just wanted to share that with you as a message of hope and love, to just not give up. I know what it feels like to sit in the doctor's office and hear them tell your parents the most horrifying stories of your future, and your parents, they have to make sense of it, because especially at the time when I was growing up, what? You're telling me my child won't be this, or this? That's a horrifying feeling if you've never been in that position before. So I remember sitting there in those chairs, in those seats, hearing them say that and wondering to myself, what will I be? If there's no hope for me, what will I be? And that was as a little girl. And that just transformed into me becoming a teenager. I thought that I was nothing, y'all. I did, because of this right here. I thought I was nothing. I did. Voiceless. Never seen. Just there, you know? And I had my mom and my daddy, oh my gosh, so much love from them. So much love from them. But I allowed bullying and teasing and the hardness of those things to just make me be unreceptive to even the love that they tried to give me and the hope, you know? But I thank God for them, because through it all, despite it all, they pushed and they persevered for me and my sisters born with albinism. They did. And we wouldn't be where we are without them either. But it's just the facts. It's just the facts that this world is cruel and that these things are still happening. And that's why I'm still talking and I'm telling y'all to love who you are. You're not a mistake. You're not a curse. You were fearfully and wonderfully made by the greatest creator ever. You have the biggest investor investing in you. And you're still here on December the 9th, 2022 for a reason. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not an accident. You're not. You and I, meaning you, we good, okay? So I don't want to make this a long video, but I just wanted to step in and offer a word of encouragement. I look so much more I just looked better earlier. Y'all, I had on lipstick, all of that. I looked real cute until I was going back through the edits and I saw I had lipstick on my teeth. And I just said, I can't go down like that. I can't go out like that. Not with my Cowboys jersey on. I definitely can't do that. So I had to come back and redo the video, but I would not be defeated. I said, I'm getting this out here because they need to hear this. They need to see this. They need to see a testimony, and they need to be inspired. And so I'm with y'all on this journey. You're not by yourselves, and I'm not the only one. We have so many more advocates out there who are doing the same thing. Many were before me. I'm just what, a pebble in this great ocean of people who have been doing this. I'm here today because somebody else started it years and years and years ago, and the gift goes on, the cycle continues, and I'm just so excited to see what God is going to do in our lives and who he will make us become as people with albinism. So I love y'all. I don't want to hold you again, like I said, but y'all just be encouraged, stay motivated, and stay tuned, because that's all we're going to do over here. We were born to do great things, so that's all we're going to do. All right? I love y'all so much. Bye.